Hello, beautiful people. Luke Corletto here with Take, let's see, allow, sorry, I'm getting a notice I can't see here. So, this is take like 17 of going for this live presentation. It is 1 o'clock, and I'm just seeing if anybody else pops in to make sure I'm getting signal. So, sorry if I'm staring at the camera, looking strange. Just want to make sure we're good to go. If somebody's here, just say something or send a signal. Oh, cool, looks like we're live. Alrighty, let's go from there again then. Sweet. So finally, and unfortunately, I'm not going to do be able to do the training in the sense of writing because it's really windy where I'm at. I'm outside, I'm in South America, and I'm doing best with what I've got in the sense of a classroom. So I'll do my best to put together a worksheet afterwards and put it down below if that serves you. Yeah. So so yesterday, for those who, if you were here yesterday, and out of integrity, if you showed up at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time yesterday and it wasn't happening, send me a private message to let me know that you were here, that you took time to be here, and I'm going to take care of you. I'll send you something. I honor your time. Sorry the techno didn't work. And that's life. Yeah, we'll kind of address that from the stress aspect today, but I want to honor your time. So make sure you send me a note if you're here and you had scheduled to be here yesterday. So why even this topic? Stress. Take a peek, look out your window, look in the mirror, look around the world. Everything is being stressed. People, establishments, industries, many of them need to in order to change, right? So our government, across the border, educational systems, they need to be stressed to change. Relationships, politics, economics, the financial industry, healthcare, across the border, all of the stuff needs to be stressed in order to change. We all do. So I want to go into 4 things here. My goal for you for this process: what is this thing called stress? How does it impact us? What we can do about it? And then give you some tools to implement, yeah? So I'm gonna start with, let's go with this. So again, sorry that, and I have to hold on to a piece of paper that I was gonna tape up here for you guys to write on, but the wind's blowing, I can't use it. So a few years ago, I was working with this client, young woman, like mid-20s young, and she was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. So for the big fancy terms, colitis, colon is the root word there. So she had stuff going on in her colon. She had a label, ulcerative colitis. She had been treated for a very long time. And basically in her scenario, what happens when her ulcerative colitis would act up, she would have to get to a restroom pronto, or she would just evacuate on herself. And horrible for anybody, but definitely for an attractive 20-year-old girl. So as we started to work, we were diving into next level stuff about the mind-body connection. So I'm going to pause for just a moment. For some of you who do not know where I come from, I've been the last many decades been studying health and healing and consciousness at high levels, working with people around the planet to understand this thing called life force, the spirit within, the healing possibilities. And that's my forte. Yeah. So for those who know, you get where I'm coming from. For those who don't understand, what I'm about to share comes from a depth and wealth of experience. It's not book knowledge. Yeah. And again, on that note, don't believe a damn thing that comes out of my mouth. Put it into action. Probably some of you that what I'm about to share today is going to stress you. And good, then I'm doing my job. So don't just ignore it, check into it. Don't believe it either, but check into it. And then apply it and see if it works in your life. Yep. I know it does for me, and I know it does for thousands of my clients around the world. Yep. So back to the story, this young girl. I happened to be communicating with her on the phone while she paused to take another call. As soon as she came back from that call, it couldn't have been 20 seconds. She's like, excuse me, I got to take this. I said, sure, no problem. She, took another line, came back 20 seconds, says, I've got to hang up because I've got to go to the bathroom. Went, oh, interesting. So later on, we communicated because she actually had to hang up at that moment. And we dove in. I said, well, who might that have been on the call? She said her mother. I said, wow, interesting. Good information. right? So take the players out. Here's a young woman who has this label, speaks to somebody, and this person, just the resonance of their voice, causes their disease to activate. And she has to run to the toilet where she has to get rid of shit, if you will, right? So I'm going to speak frank here. Too late, I've already done it. So for me, that speaks volumes. For other people, that's just the disease state. So here we go. What stresses me out is perpetuation of ignorance and oftentimes brinking on the point of lies. What do I mean by that? Here we go. This is from WebMD. Ulcerative colitis is a disease. First lie. First, propagation of misinformation and untruths and ignorance. So, but stay with me. So the other part of the reason people pay me, my clients, coaching clients, and whoever, it's not just because of my expertise having worked for 30 years on my skill set, but it's because of my different perspective, right? So that's what I'm gonna give you, my different perspective. If you like it, great. If you don't, hit delete, because again, I'm not trying to convince you of anything, but take a ride with me. So here we go. It's a disease that affects the large intestine. It causes irritation and swelling. No, it doesn't. Irritation and swelling are what give the symptoms that's then labeled as ulcerative colitis. It's the irritation and the swelling, the inflammation. What causes the irritation and the inflammation? What's doing that? Oh, we don't know, right? So hang in there. Eventually that leads to ulcers. Ulcers. Sidestep for a moment. Today, 21st century, they're telling people and treating people that stomach ulcers are caused by bacteria. Oh my God. That's like walking down the street, seeing a dead bird with maggots all over it and going, oh my God, look, the maggots killed the bird, right? Just visualize that, like maggots jumping up in the sky, grabbing a bird and killing it. The maggots are there because they're eating dead tissue called the bird. Bacteria are in the ulcer of the stomach, cleaning up tissue in the ulcer. They didn't cause the ulcer. Hello, people. Come on. These are experts propagating this misinformation. Okay? I'll just stay with that for now. I'll do my best to be nice. So it goes on, this little piece of information. Blah, 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 blah. It's different from other diseases in the bowel. And there's no cure yet. Oh, really? No cure yet. Huh. And people usually have the symptoms flare up, this and that. The right treatments can help you keep a handle on the disease. Really. I say the right treatments ensure that you never heal. That's my perspective and my reality. That's the right treatments. Make sure you don't heal. So let me go back to the story with the young woman. So here's this young woman, as we dove into it, said, isn't that interesting? As soon as you hear your mom's voice, this vibration into your nerve system, your body went, ah! And she dumps shit, if you will, right? She evacuates. Well, nothing by accident in my world. So we dove into that and come to find out that she experienced some pretty hellacious emotional trauma from mom. Oh, so when I hold on to, right, the colon deals with feces, crap. When I hold on to crap, it's not good for me. It's not good for any of us. And when the person that rocks my world the most interacts with me, I can't hold on. Well, that's great that you don't hold on to it, or it would cause other problems. So unfortunately, I can't interact with you guys because I can't see a second monitor to find out if you're with me at this point. So I'm just going to keep rolling. And if anybody's here when I'm done, great. If not, I realize I've just fried everybody and lost going down my rabbit hole. Yeah, so there's no cure. Bullshit. We worked with this young girl, cleared out her nerve system, cleared out her thought patterns. She came online, meaning her system healed, and no more. To this day, she's in her 50s. Never had any more bouts of diarrhea and bloody mucus and blah, 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 blah. So there's no cure? Nonsense. That's just horrible to disempower people to say, well, there's no cure for the label you have. Well, then take the frickin' label off and set yourself free and learn to heal, yeah? So, and if you'd like to do that, play more often. So this is still on the same piece of paper. Causes. Ulcerative colitis happens when, this is what it says right here on the page, when your immune system makes a mistake. Your immune system. how did you get this far if it made a mistake? I mean, how are you still breathing and on top of the planet if your immune system made a mistake? It's the thing that keeps you functioning with the ecology of the environment around you. Life itself, all the microorganisms and the stuff we interact with every single day. If it made a mistake, you'd have been dead a long time ago. How did it make a mistake? And how did it make a mistake only around the lining of your colon? Interesting. Made a mistake. And then it goes on. Doctors aren't sure why people get the condition. Again, the terminology is beautiful. It's evil, but it's beautiful. You get diseases. Well, where do you get them from? Is there a disease store you go buy them from? See, this stresses me out. Now, hang on with, we're going to come back to the whole thing around stress. This is leading to a proper flow, I promise. I'm not sure how we're going to get there, but I promise. You get it, right? You get the cold. You don't get any of this stuff, people. Come on. Next statement. Your genes may even play a role. Sure, let's blame the genetics, because that's another beautiful disempowering process. Well, cutting-edge science called epigenetics just puts that all to shame. And it shows it's all BS, that it's not in the genes. Come on. Now, I'm almost done with my rant on this. Other things in your environment may make a difference. May make a difference. Your environment. Like what? Well, the people around you, the experiences that you've encountered, the stuff you put into your mouth, the stuff you put into your mind, the stuff you put into your heart. Maybe it will, But so far, research hasn't been able to discover any of those. And here's the last thing, I love it, which ties this whole rant onto this class. Other things like food, and it says it right here, and stress don't cause it. No. It doesn't. So stress has no impact on causing this label. Whoo. Okay. Now, just because I was able to print this out today, I couldn't do it yesterday. This is from a really prestigious institution that many of you know called the Mayo Clinic. Now we're going into the actual stress part. We left the disease part. Stress. You may think illness is to blame for that nagging headache or your frequent insomnia or your depressed productivity at work. But stress may actually be the culprit. And I share that from the place of, this is where our society wants to normalize pathology. Stress is now a condition, like headaches. Headaches aren't a condition, it's a word. It's flip it, ache of the head, right? Headaches aren't a condition. I have headaches. No, you have a symptom that's your head's pounding. Well, then listen to it, damn it. But stress isn't, it's not an entity. I have stress. And it goes on. Stress, is left unchecked, can contribute to many health problems, such as high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity, and diabetes. Wow, that's impressive. Left unchecked. Well, who's supposed to check into it? You. It's your life. It's your body. It's amazing. Somewhere in here it was like you had to go have somebody else tell you if you're stressed. If you don't know that you're stressed, which we haven't even defined yet from this perspective, it left unchecked. Hello, knock, knock. Is anybody in there? Take responsibility for your life, people. It's your life. My life is my life. God, get involved. It's craziness. Okay, so back to, let's see. Should I continue on this rant? Yeah, because then I can throw these papers down. Here's another one. Also from that prestigious website. Right, I'm reading it, right? So if it's printed, it must be true. This is amazing, I didn't know this. Anxiety is a general term for several disorders that cause, you get that? Anxiety is the term for disorders that cause nervousness, fear, apprehension, and worry. What? Anxiety doesn't cause nervousness, fear, apprehension, and worry. Flip it. Nervousness, fear, apprehension, and worry stuffed into your nerve system long enough makes you anxious. It's the other way around, people. But again, when the use of psychological manipulation, if you will, then people buy into it. Oh, I have anxiety disorder. Whoo. So these disorders can cause all kinds of physical symptoms. Mild anxiety is vague and unsettling, while severe anxiety can seriously affect day-to-day living. So I'm going to take a moment here. So people that might be going through some tough stuff in their life, I'm not being disrespectful or condescending. So stay with me. This is really important. If you have severe anxiety where it's affecting your day-to-day function, get some help, man. Really. But get real help, not help that's going to keep you stuck in the trap of the label and be just messed up for the rest of your life. Get quality help, whatever resonates for you. Body work, breath work, get adjusted, God forbid, to get your nerve system cleared out. But you got to find a really good chiropractor who understands the innate wisdom of your body and knows how to access your nerve system so they're not just pushing on your spine. That's not what chiropractic is anyways. So find real practitioners. If none of that resonates and you resonate with the allopathic model and you want to be sedated and to take meds to unplug from feeling, remember, you can't heal what you can't feel. So your call. But you got to decide what you want. But if it's that severe, go for it. So, but if you can, stay with me. Let's call it what it is. So PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress. The D part, that's what just really makes me want to just scream. That's what stresses me out. So post-traumatic stress, agreed. Means after you had your ass handed to you in some form or fashion, no doubt. You experienced a violent crime, a sexual assault. You were in a car wreck. You were a veteran in the military and were asked to shoot and kill somebody else, or you saw somebody get blown up in front of you. There's a million different ways we can experience trauma, divorce, loss of a loved one. But it's not a disorder. See, that's back to this whole disease state. Disease. Okay, I should have waited to the very bottom of this flow to go here, but I'm going there now. Like what to do about this thing called stress, which again, I haven't even defined yet. Here's one thing to do. Really make a decision that you keep buying into what society wants you to believe, that you're a dumb machine to learn to think, or you can choose to agree with your own self and your own theology or spirituality, whatever that works for you, that you're an intelligence, or spirit, if you will, that inhabits a body. So if that's the case, then you're not a victim of the universe and you don't break down and malfunction. So here's the greatest gift I can help you with, is really start to learn to listen to the messages of your own self, your higher self, if you will, or your innate intelligence or your inner wisdom, whatever you want to call it. Use the words that work for you, right? Don't believe anything I say. But learn to translate the messages that you are giving to your own self back through your body. So stress, somewhere it said that physical symptoms, headache, right? It's not a condition, it's not a disease, it's the ache of the head. Well, why is your head aching? Well, listen to that. When does it ache? Oh, every time I drive to work, my head starts pounding. Yeah, probably because you hate your job. So pay attention to that. And then take an action that's appropriate to it. Learn to love your job or quit your job and get another job. Do you know how many people are stressed out? Here's one of these wacky paradoxes of life. They're like really completely stressed out because they stay in a job that they hate, they despise it on all levels, just to have medical insurance. Look at the paradox of that. I'm in a job just to have insurance. Well, you're going to need it because your system's going to keep collapsing because you're doing something against yourself at high levels, mentally, emotionally. And remember, even though healthcare doesn't believe that, your thoughts affect your physiology. So you're going to create unhappy hormones and body chemistry that then tear your body down. That's a form of stress, self-induced from within. Yeah? Hello, let's call it like it is. Let's quit pretending that we're victims of the world and start taking ownership of your life. So when your head pounds, pay attention to it. Is it because you had 15 cups of coffee in the morning? Well, you might want to back down or at least get on some decaffeinated. Is it because you're in an unhealthy relationship? What is it? I don't know, because I don't have the ability to communicate with you. If I did, I'd be able to help you see it for yourself. Listen to the messages within. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It's now the new fad label. But let's call it what it is. Whatever's happened, it was too much for me to handle it. Ouch. I went through a divorce. My best friend died. I was coerced to kill somebody. Whatever. That's a lot to process. I was violated. My home was robbed. I don't feel safe. That's a lot to process. So when we can't process it, we store it in our nerve system. You're not broken. You just haven't integrated this trauma. That's why it's called trauma, post-traumatic, agreed. And it is a stress. But it's not there to torture you, and it's not a condition. It's not a label. And you definitely don't have a disorder. Those are just signs that your body's screaming for assistance. Your mind, your heart, your soul is screaming for assistance to get well again. Well, find the right people to help you do that and get well. You can heal. You don't have to have that label forever. Doesn't matter what you experience, no matter how intense, I promise. Personally, been down the road quite a bit. Professionally, I've helped people from across the border with all kinds of just unimaginable experiences. When I hear some of the stories, I'm thinking, I would have never made it. I would have died for sure. Too intense. But they did. And remember this too. If you went through it, you have the tools to become stronger and well, or you wouldn't have went through it, because otherwise it's just not fair. As Mother Teresa says, just when I thought I had a handle on life, the handle broke. Or I know that God doesn't give me whatever you call God. God doesn't give me what I can't handle. I just wish He wouldn't trust me so much. So if any of that resonates for you in a sense of a truth, check into that. That if you've experienced it, you do have the capacity. Don't get over it. That just keeps it stuck in your system. Don't get over it. Move through it. Learn to become whole again. So integrate the experience. And there are people out there that can help you do that for sure. Okay. I didn't even acknowledge that my shirt might stress you out. See, my fashion is probably stressing some people. I just happen to look down and see it. This is only like page 2 of the stuff. This is hilarious. Anxiety disorders affect 40 million people just in the US alone. That's just one disorder. 40 million people. That's a lot of people. That means people are stressed out. Last piece, I'll put this page down. What is anxiety? This is according to this. Remember I talked about normalizing pathology? This says right here, anxiety is a natural human reaction to stressful situations. I'm sorry. Did I read that right? Anxiety is a natural human reaction? No, it's not. No, it's not. When so right now I'm in Brazil. If a jaguar, a leopard, jumped off and landed here, my heart would start skipping a few beats. I love animals. I just need to know how he chooses to interact with me. Am I dinner? Time for me to start using my sympathetic nerve system, fight or flight, and either get out or do something to try to save my life. Fight or flight. That's appropriate. But if it was a kitty cat that just jumped off and landed here like a little cat, house cat, and I have the same response, that's not good. That's me putting thought forms into a situation that's not appropriate for the level of that it needed. Yeah, but that's back to me. So that means I can change my thought forms to be appropriate for the response. Yeah, but anxiety is not a natural reaction. I don't care if the American Psychological Association says so. Yeah. Whee! So, top of the ladder. My goal for this little presentation, and why did I even do it? Because I've been blessed to travel the world, and still am. I'll be back in the States in a few days, and then in a week I'll be in Honduras, and then in a couple of weeks I'll be in Denmark. And people are waking up. You might be one of them. Been there, done that, understand. So again, no judgment, not projection. I want to give tools so you can stop doing that and then help other people stop doing that. So they can walk, like a hurricane metaphor. Out in the hurricane, man, it's chaotic. But in the center, it's peaceful, right? The calmest place to be is to be in the center. Yep, the hurricane moves, but move with it. So life is always in motion. Learn to use that metaphor, right? To stay in the center, your center. How do you achieve that? I don't know. We're going to give you some tools so you can apply if you want, but find the ones that work for you, because we're all different. And we all need different tools that we resonate with, but ultimately is, do the tools help you? Who cares what they're called? Does it help you get there? And if it does, sweet. All right, so I get off my box there. These are a couple, so my goal for this class is to help you have a different relationship with stress, to change the concept that stress is bad, stress is negative. When I asked people what stress, before this, I had some feedback like, hey, what is stress to you? And I was getting responses like anxiety, fear, depression. No, those are effects of when we do something to our body. So quite simply, stress is just pressure. Stress is just applied force. So if I take this piece of paper, I can bend it. That's a stress it can handle. But if I put a force this way, it can't. It just broke, right? So that's too much stress for this piece of paper. I applied a force that was just too much for it to process. Well, one, it's inanimate. It can't adapt. So if I take a dried twig and I bend it, eventually that thing is just going to break, snap. If I take a twig that's still attached to a living tree and bend, it's going to flex and adapt to a point until I use too much stress. And then depending on the tree, it's probably still going to adapt, right? So here's the thing that people forget is you have this innate ability to adapt, this inner wisdom, and it's the key sign of life is the ability to adapt. So if I took an axe and hit a piece of oak, a wood, and come back in 20 years, that cut that I put in that piece of oak is still going to be there because it can't adapt. Now, I'm not recommending this, and I wouldn't do this, but if I took an axe and went out to an oak tree and smacked it, and came back a couple weeks later, actually came back a couple days, you're going to see that the oak tree is healing. There's sap, right? The sap is like our scabs, and it's healing itself because it still has life force. And so do you. So as long as you're breathing, speaking of which, we're going to go there about breathing. But as long as you're breathing, that means you have life in your body. That means you can adapt and you can evolve and overcome whatever you've run into, whatever the stress that life has thrown at you. So back to those questions. Here was a great one, and I think we've already answered it. So how do you know, here was the question that was thrown to me. How do you know, so you know that you're stressed. I mean, this person said, I acknowledge that I'm stressed, but I don't know what the real source is. I get that. That makes sense. It seems that way anyways. And here's where I get to throw a different perspective on you. When we experience something and we don't want to go back through and re-access, the last thing we want to do is acknowledge it, because once I do, then I'm responsible. This kind of runs across life for me. This is why we often say, I don't know. So I had a private practice for 25 years. When I'd ask people after they'd say, I've got this stuff going on, my first question is, why do you think that is? And I don't know, like that 2-year-old response. Well, that works cool until you're 2. After that, it doesn't work anymore. So, well, let's pretend you did. We don't want to acknowledge it because we're afraid to have to go back and process that again. And I'm not saying you need to do psychoanalysis, and if you do, go see an appropriate practitioner for that. I'm talking about this. Here's the question. So you know you're stressed, but you don't know what the real source is. Let's go back to the story about the young woman who had colitis. She was obviously stressed. Her body was expressing screaming symptoms of, as soon as she got nervous or anxious, whoosh, she'd have to get to a bathroom or she was going to mess on herself. The source was somebody in her family. That's not something you necessarily want to acknowledge unless you've done a lot of personal development work. Then you're really happy to acknowledge it. But for the average bear, it's too emotional stressing, back to that, to acknowledge that somebody in my family, especially my parent, is the source of my distortion, my trauma, my stress. But until you're willing to acknowledge it, you're going to keep pretending that you don't know what it is. So have the courage to just start paying attention, because your body's telling you. Pay attention when it speaks, and how it speaks. Listen to it. It's gifting you with beautiful information, I promise. And if you don't know how to do that, get a hold of an appropriate practitioner that can help you translate the messages of your body, because you're not a broken machine that learned to think. You're a spirit inhabiting a body. I'd love to play with you if you want. Matter of fact, on that note, we're going to be doing a lot more of these lives, but with better communication to help you handle and up-level your life. Yeah, okay, so yada, yada, yada. That's my goal, so you have a different relationship. What is it? Pressure. pressure. And it's relative. So take exercising, for example. Exercising is essential. How do you exercise? When I'm back in the States, I have a personal trainer because I need somebody to challenge me, to push me in order to stress myself healthy and productively in order to up-level my physicality and physiology. If I tried to train with this guy who is a two-time Mr. USA, hey Tim, if you're watching, that would be too much stress for me, and my body wouldn't be able to take it, and I would get hurt, right? Just like this paper, I would tear or break because it's then too much stress. So there's an appropriate level of stress to challenge the self, to move on, and then you need recovery time to integrate, heal, get well. And if that's physical fitness, if that's mental, challenging your studies, you're upgrading, you're challenging your nerve system, you're challenging your brain, you're challenging your thinking, learning something new. Well, challenge it, learn it, and then give time, recovery time to rest and integrate. All high performers, doesn't matter if they're athletes, business people, whatever their walk of life is, they really put it to themselves, but they also incorporate recovery times, appropriate recovery times, so the body can integrate. It's essential. Do you do that in your life? Or do you just run, and wonder why you're stressed out? So minimally, incorporate some recovery times so you can integrate, chill, breathe. How does this impact us? Stress. Well, that's relative. How much do you resist it? How much do you pretend it's not happening? Here's a little metaphor that I use for clients and when I teach, because there's a large part around choice around this. Roller coasters, right? The amusement park, roller coasters, wee. So here we go. I can't see responses, but I will ask the question. So you can answer these to yourself if you're still with me. I'm on a small phone, so I can't even see if people are still with me. And I'm in the middle of this atrium out here in this complex. And I'm sure people looking at me like, what is that guy doing down there talking to himself? I'm stressing them out, right? So the roller coaster. I happen to love roller coaster rides. If you do, great. You're going to be in the car with me up front. And let's say you do not like it, right? So you know that answer. I'm not, whatever the truth is for you. But we're all going to go. Everybody on this call, everybody's going to watch this call later. You're jumping on this roller coaster with me. Now, the coaster takes off, bap, 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 and starts climbing that hill, right? Tick, 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 tick. And we're up like 3 miles in the air, and it's just about the apex. And right before apexes, the people who dig this, who are in the front, what are they doing? Hands up, screaming with joy, ready for this impact into their system. But the impact is going to be delicious. Why? Because of the choice. I'm about to do something that I like. I like being excited, challenged, and stimulated. So therefore, I'm secreting things like dopamine and interferon, and this stuff is proven. You know, they've done studies like this and tested people's physiology and blood profiles. And you produce basically happy hormones, happy chemistry, and it enlivens your system. Now, the people that are, remember a roller coaster, we're talking like 2 feet behind me, are praying for death as soon as that thing crests over the hill, right? As soon as you go, they're praying to die. You know, God, please take me home now, kill me, get this over with. Because they're not enjoying, they're not having a good time. And if you were to extrapolate their body chemistry, their blood profile, they'd be creating some really yucky stuff that, thank goodness, a roller coaster ride's only like 60 seconds. But take that metaphor and expand it to life. Life is a ride. If you're not enjoying it, you're stressed, you're producing some pretty heavy-duty chemicals in your physiology, and it's going to let you know. If you are enjoying this ride, you're going to be producing really happy, cool stuff, and you're going to reap the benefits of well-being and health. So I hope you understand that concept. Like, how does this impact us? Well, it depends a lot on how you dance with life. And there's tools to help you do that. So let's go into that since I've been yapping for a bit. Tools, what can we do around this? The first thing I mentioned to you, decide, are you a broken machine that learned to think, or are you an intelligent force that runs this body? I like to teach people you're the driver, not the vehicle, right? This is not you. This is not me. This is how I get around. This is what I'm using to communicate to you. This is what I use to touch friends and family members or practice members or clients. But I'm the one that runs it, and I am not this. Not trying to tell you what to think. You got to decide that. The other piece was learn to listen to the messages of your body. Don't shoot the messenger. So if your belly hurts, listen to it. Why does it hurt? When does it hurt? Because it's talking to you. When you want to shoot the messenger, because our society is all about sedation. There's no getting well in sedation. The sedation, is it necessary periodically because life's gotten too much? Yeah, I totally agree. Right? You're walking down the street, you trip and sprain your ankle, you hurt your ankle, and your body says, don't put pressure on it. Well, those things are called crutches. Great. Crutches are there to keep weight off of that foot so you can still get around in your life. Be better off if you sat down and really got involved and paid attention to what your ankle was telling you when you tripped, but that's a whole nother story. But you're using these crutches, right? Cool. How long should you be on them? How long? Well, necessary enough time until your body can heal and you move on. Then you put the crutches down. They were a useful tool. Now move on. Get back in your life, right? But if you see me 6 months later and I'm still on crutches from spraining my ankle, there's something wrong. A year later, I'm not willing to move on. So you might want to check into that. Listen, and then take appropriate action. Cool, what kind of tools? Well, I should have probably started off this at the top of the hour. What kind of tools? What kind of tools to use? It's a great book I highly recommend. Many of you that might be listening to this have already gone through it. 4 Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. 4 Agreements, be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Don't take things personal and always do your best. Be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Don't take things personal. Always do your best. Sounds simple. Very challenging to put into play. This is one way you can actually reduce the stress in your life. Reduce the trauma, for sure. What else can you do? Learn to love yourself. Go through forgiveness. For self first. You might have other people in your life that you need to forgive, for sure. But my experience is eventually, when you're done with that, you need to turn it around and bring it back home and start forgiving self. If I have enough time, I will share a story around that. So add joy and laughter back into your, like the roller coaster, joy, laughter, enlightenment. You're producing happy chemistry. So I don't know how that works for you. What makes you laugh? What brings you joy? I don't know, but add more to your life. Get some body work. Good practitioners. Get adjusted. Good practitioner. These are tools that help your nerve system come online. Let the tension that you store in your body, organs, muscles, to reduce, release, and integrate and get well. Yoga, movement, exercise. You got to move the body. Use it or lose it. And just by doing those things, you start activating the tissues to move stuff through the body, to move tension that is carried from stress and traumas that's stored in the body. It gets activated and moving again. Go out in the woods and scream. Move the energy through the body, right? Emotions is energy in motion. When it's no longer in motion, it's now stored. So if I have anger, but I'm not angrying, it's working against me. So go out and get angry, meaning make it a verb again. So people that are pissed off, but they don't express it, then they're just holding frustration. And a lot of those people that are pissed off end up with, funny enough, kidney infections. They end up with kidney stones, again, another disease state. Well, how did it get there? Why did it crystallize? Because I'm not expressing my emotions and my organs suffer for it. Now, if this doesn't resonate for you, that's okay. I know it to be real in my world, and the people I work with, boom, they integrate, and then they never have these disease states ever again in their life. You can too. Check into your environment. So this is back to the tools part. Everything about your environment, especially the people in your environment. Are you around people that enliven you, or are you around people that, bring you down? You're called to stay around them or not. Environment, is it healthy? Are you in, just yesterday I showed up in a city of like 400,000 people in this concrete village. I live in a cabin in the woods with acres of just trees and wild animals. So that's my choice, that's what I like. But I know when I was a kid, if I would have went to the country like that, that would have stressed me out because I was thriving on chaos. So what is the proper environment for you? Literally, externally, what is your home like? Is it serving and soothing and peaceful for you? Up to you to decide that. Environment. What do you put in here, right? What are you putting in here? Good stuff. More plant-based diet. What are you putting in here? Your thoughts. What are you putting in your here, in your heart, right? I don't mean the beating heart. I'm talking about the energetic heart, the real you. So the more good stuff you put in those, the better off life is going to be. The more you'll be able to handle life at a high level. Breathe. I'll wrap up with that one. Drink lots of water too, but breathe. Breathing is one of the most profound gifts, and it's free. That changes your life. Breathe through the nose. Bring in air deep into the body, into the lower part of your rib cage, into the lower part of your lungs. It's called diaphragmatic breathing. Your diaphragm drops, your belly comes out, and you're oxygenating your body. You're expanding your rib cage, right? I got to put these papers between my legs. So if this is my heart, and this is like the rib cage, my heart's beating, cool. My rib cage gives it room to breathe. But when I have stress and tension that I store in my body for whatever reason, boom, that locks down. Now the heart has to beat. Now that's going to increase blood pressure and pulse rate. Well, if I go to a typical physician, they're going to tell me I have high blood pressure and a high heart rate. Duh. Why do I? Well, who cares? Let's just give you something. What if I do something to release the tension in my rib cage and my chest so my heart can just, chill out? Breathing is one of the best ways to do that. Breathe. Because I'm literally expanding my rib cage. My diaphragm moves and it gives room for my system to breathe. I'm activating, when I slowly exhale, I'm activating my parasympathetic nerve system, or the vagus nerve, that causes my heart to chill out and my respiration to reduce, my heart rate to drop. It produces chill out chemistry in my body. Slow the exhale. Slow the exhale. And it'll bring some peace to your body. Yeah, breathe in. Or don't. Totally up to you. I don't want to keep yapping at you, because there's all kinds of stuff to get into. Healing sleep, creating peace and laughter in your life, clearing out your nerve system, learning to love yourself more. Yeah. So I'm going to hold up on this and say thank you for those who were engaging with me, if there is anybody. Otherwise, these folks over here are staring at me like, what's the wacko doing, talking to himself again? And I've committed to add more people to my bi-monthly live, where, not this, I actually have a really nice professional setup, so I'm not going to be doing it on, this is just minuscule. This is like a splinter about what I bring to my community, bi-monthly live. Love to have you join me. I'm going to put a link below this, and it's peanuts, especially if there's any practitioners. Oh my gosh, twice live. The investment is peanuts. And I mean like less than a coffee, because I want to get this information out, and I want to help people help themselves, and especially practitioners, so they can up-level their life. And that's what it's called, Up-Level with Lou, where twice a month, so every 2 weeks, full on out hour, but in this case, I'll be in a setting where I can actually answer your questions live, Q&A live. And if you can't do the lives, there'll be a membership site where you can do that, and worksheets, and man, I'm talking about high-level stuff. Literally the end, if you stayed for an entire year, it's just month to month. If you stayed for an entire year, the investment for an entire year right now is just barely more than what my private clients pay me for 1 hour coaching. Yeah. So, anyhow, 2,500 years ago, 500 BC, somewhere in that time frame, Lao Tzu said, if you're depressed, it's because you're in the past. If you're anxious, it's because you're in the future. Peace is about being here now. Breathing, volitionally breathing. I mean, I had to choose to do that. It keeps me here and now. Human beings have an involuntary process of what I call biological breath. Inhale, exhale. That's not breathing. That's just inhaling and exhaling. It's enough to keep you existing on the planet. Breathing, conscious breathing, keeps you alive and vibrant, but it keeps you in the here and now. Because most of us are stressed because we're in the past and the future. We're in fear and guilt because we're not here now. Breathe, man, breathe. Mark Twain said, I had lots of problems in my life, and some of them came true. Meaning many of us create stuff that's not even happening, right? What we worry about, most of it never even ever manifests. So we're just self-induced trashing ourselves, whooping on ourselves. Why? Well, because that's a whole nother thing on the psychology. But in the meantime, thank you for being here. Abundant blessings. If any of this resonates, do me a favor and share it. I don't often ask that, but help me get the word out. Even if people take one nugget out of this. So share it and put some comments below, and just to let me know it was worth engaging. So in the meantime, abundant blessings, much love. Ciao. Maybe.